you for being with us this morning. I am House Minority Leader Lisa Damuth, and we are going to talk about the tax omnibus bill that is up on the House floor today. As you have heard from our caucus over the entire time in the legislature this session, that we have a $17.5 billion surplus, and that needs to be returned to Minnesotans. We need to do the right thing for the residents of Minnesota. Unfortunately, this tax bill doesn't look like we are headed in that direction. We are headed in a different direction that would actually, in this bill, include $2.2 billion in tax increases. So at a time that we still have a $17.5 billion surplus, the Democrats in the House are looking to raise that on Minnesotans. One thing that is glaringly missing is that full repeal of the tax on Social Security, something that Minnesota residents have been looking for, have been promised, and yet it is missing. I'm going to turn over this time to Representative Kristen Robbins, and she's going to walk through the details of the tax bill.
Good morning. I'm Representative Kristen Robbins. I represent District 37A, which is Maple Grove, Medina, Corcoran, Greenfield, Independence, Loretto, and Maple Plain. And I've served on the tax committee the last 2 terms. So we're very disappointed with today's tax bill. We have a $17.5 billion surplus, and Minnesotans expected to have that money returned to them so they could spend it for their own families. Instead, what the DFL is proposing in the bill and globally is a $10 billion tax increase globally and a 40% increase in the state budget over the next 2 years. This is unacceptable. Minnesotans cannot afford it. It's not sustainable, and it makes us uncompetitive. So families, they've been struggling to make ends meet, and instead of government returning money to them, or government even trying to live within its means, government is increasing spending at an unsustainable rate. And so we just hope for a better result through the conference committee. The problems with this bill are, as Leader Damuth already mentioned, failure to eliminate the tax on Social Security. And that was a bipartisan campaign promise. All of us, when we were campaigning in our districts, everyone heard that from the doors, and DFLers and Republicans made that promise, and it is not being kept. It also makes Minnesota very uncompetitive. So this bill contains a new 5th-tier income tax rate that would raise the top tier from 9.85% to 10.85%. That would make Minnesota have the 4th highest income tax rate in the country. And just to give you some perspective, so we are uncompetitive at all the tiers. Our lowest tier of 5.35% is higher than the highest tier in 24 other states. So we are at every tier level uncompetitive, and this makes it worse by adding the 5th tier. Secondly, because we tax capital gains at the same rate as regular income, this will now give us either the 1st or 2nd highest capital gains rate in the country. A lot of states don't tax capital gains. Those that do often treat it as different from regular income. So Minnesota is already uncompetitive on that, but this will make it even worse. Also makes us uncompetitive because it contains what's called the GILTI provision, Global Intangible Low Tax Income. Basically, we would be the only jurisdiction in the world, not just in the US, in the world, that would require combined worldwide reporting of income from companies instead of just what their income is in the United States. This is a huge disadvantage for Minnesota when we are trying to attract talent and investment to our state and grow jobs in our state. So there's no relief for middle-class taxpayers. Instead, this bill picks winners and losers and focuses on tax expenditures through refundable tax credits. So people who have not been paying taxes in Minnesota are getting a lot of new income, so this is spending through these refundable tax credits. And it's not helping the middle class who's been paying the taxes all along. It also significantly is going to harm our charities. So there's a proposal in there that would eliminate the e-pull tabs for charities, which has been one of the major drivers of their revenue, and it doesn't give any tax relief. So charities are losing their driving source of revenue, and they're still getting incredibly high taxes. So that is going to really hurt the local VFWs, American Legions, sports teams in our communities that have really been paying the freight to get the stadium paid off through their tax that they pay on the e-pull tabs and all of their gaming proceeds. And now that the stadium's about to be paid off, we feel they should be getting a giant tax cut, but instead the tax cut is 0.5%, and they're taking away this big source of revenue. So it's really a blow to local charities and our communities, and we're certainly going to be talking about that a lot on the floor today. So, just to recap, those are the problems with this bill. It doesn't provide middle-class tax relief. It is providing $2.2 billion in just this bill on tax increases, but globally it's a $10 billion tax increase on Minnesotans in the budget and a 40% increase in state spending in the budget, which is not affordable. Minnesotans deserve better, and we will be fighting to defend the taxpayer on the floor today, and we will be trying to get some tax cuts for middle-class Minnesotans. Any questions? Okay, thanks for being here.